This is January 6th. I'm making a video of the crappy job that Protech Roofing did on my roof. January 6th, 2020. As you can see, there's no rake trim, and under that is exposed. There's no new drip rail trim or anything under there to protect it. They installed this fascia board. It's crooked. The overhang has a large gap on this side and barely a gap on that side. The fascia board starts off right up against the tin over here, and then it drops down under the decking over here. That ridge cap with an open end up there, and no rake trim or new flashing or drip rail flashing or nothing on the side there. There's also no fascia boards that they were supposed to fix as in the contract. On this side, it overhangs about 6 inches right here. Just that piece. And then look how crooked that one is up there. On this little bend right here, the flashing doesn't even come to the end. So there's just exposed decking under that. And more rotted boards that were supposed to be replaced. More rotted fascia boards. This edge here is almost as crooked as the back. I'll get a tape measure and put on it in a minute. There's a really big overhang there, huge, way more than the back. And about 2 inches shorter on this end. And I gotta look at this every day. It's the very front of my house. As you can see on this side, it's not near as much overhang as the other side. Up there towards the top, there's zero overhang, and that is exposed decking under there. Nothing on top of it. The wind is going to blow the water under there, and leaves are going to build up, and it's going to cause a problem. And you come to the front up here, there's way more overhang in the front than there is in the back. Also, you notice there was no drip edge trim on the back. And this drip edge trim that's there was already there. I put that up 8 years ago, and I was told there was going to be new drip edge trim. Supposedly that was what held them up on the first day. As you can see, they put no trim, no drip edge trim or flashing anywhere on any of the fascia boards. And those fascia boards were all supposed to be fixed as per the bid. Also, you can see this line of screws in the front of the house you got to look at every day is crooked. They don't line up at all. It looks horrible. There's no end wall flashing going up the side of these dog houses. They just caulked it with some black caulk. It looks like crap, and I know it ain't gonna last. And the back doghouse looks even worse. Also, I'm pretty sure these screws are not supposed to be in the center of that rib, of that valley. They should be next to the ribs. The bottom of it is the same way. And you can see the flat part of the roof, how it warped every piece of metal because they put those screws in the center instead of next to the structured rib. Also, this flashing in the front of these dog houses, it doesn't have anything behind it. So water just pours down behind that flashing when it rains. They didn't caulk it, put no seal or nothing. They were supposed to put that behind the siding, and they didn't. And then they cut it. Why they would ever do this, I'll never know. But it is cut next to that piece of trim instead of going behind the trim that they took off and put back on. But instead of leaving the flashing behind it, they cut it. There's a seam right there that's gonna pour water in there. It's never gonna work. Also, these gaps underneath that flashing, you can see there's already leaves underneath it. And it's gonna pile up leaves under there and soak up water. And the backside is even worse because the roof on the backside is even flatter. Look at all those leaves piling up. And there's no foam inserts or vents or nothing to keep leaves from building up under that flashing. Now that I'm up here, I can see even better. They didn't even put any caulking on this. That's old stuff that was already there. So it's just exposed seam right there on this tin. When it rains, water's just gonna go right behind it. And you can see straight under this flashing, this roof has barely got a pitch. It's just already pulling up leaves up under there. Look at that hole right there. That water's just gonna go right behind that. This is not a watertight roof. Also, in those ribs of the siding, there's nothing behind that. Just water go right under it and under this metal roof. You can see right here, no sealant, no nothing right there. It's just a big gap between the siding and the tin, and water can go right behind it. It's supposed to be an end wall flashing on top of that piece of tin and behind that siding. That piece of flashing right there, there's no screw on the very end of it. It's sitting there flapping in the wind, making noise and looking stupid. Look at those screws hanging down. I gotta look at every day because they don't want to put trim on the front of this rake here. Both sides. Just screws hanging out. Rotted fascia boards that were supposed to be fixed so that they could put the drip edge flashing on it that they didn't put on nowhere. I'm on the back side of the flat roof. This roof only has a 112 pitch, so you can see how leaves are already getting blown up underneath this flashing right here. They're gonna rot and turn into a big sponge. They actually did put some black goop stuff back here, but man, it looks like crap. There's a big gap right here you can just stick your finger through. There's nothing there. If I can get in close enough, we can see this gap. right here, you can just, rain's gonna go right in my house. They half-assed did some caulking in the slits right there, but rain's gonna go down behind this. It's not gonna, nothing's gonna keep it from seeping down there. What's gonna keep the rain out? This side over here, nothing. No, they started to put some black stuff inside of there, and I guess they gave up. But I mean, the rain's gonna get, water's gonna get blown over there. The wind, rain don't just fall straight. And it's gonna go right down in my house. Right there. This roof is absolutely not secure. These missing fascia boards. No drip rail trim. I don't know what they cut those valley pieces with, but it looks like crap. You can see where they dented my tin everywhere. They were walking all over it. Instead of walking in the valleys, they're walking on top of the ribs. I mean, I ain't no expert. I don't know how that's supposed to be, but that looks like crap. I think you're supposed to put the tin over that piece and around it, not just screw it through the tin. Whatever kind of seal that is not going to last as long as this metal is supposed to. Look how crooked that is. The valley trim, valley flashing is barely covering it. That's, look at that. All the screws in the center instead of next to the structured rib, making all these panels look warped. All of these screws right here are supposed to be here next to the structured rib. And more screws at the end of the ridge cap, not covered by any trim. And this drip edge trim that they left on there, water will go backwards. The wind will blow it under there, and it's not gonna be waterproof, ever.